Have you ever noticed something strange about our moment in history? We live in an age where we can split atoms, land rovers on Mars, and edit the very code of life itself, and yet we struggle to sit quietly with our own thoughts. We've connected the globe with fiber optics and satellites, but millions feel more isolated than ever before. It's a paradox so profound that even the stars might wonder if their creation has somehow turned in on itself. How could a civilization capable of sending information at the speed of light still fail to communicate empathy, kindness, and understanding? How did we get here? This is not a rhetorical question. It's a cosmic one. Because if there's one thing the universe has taught us, it's that the present is never isolated from the forces that shaped it. Just as galaxies swirl because of unseen gravity wells, our society rotates around invisible forces, ideologies, assumptions, beliefs we've inherited from those who came before. We may have left the caves, but we never stopped dragging our shadows behind us. And yet, amidst the noise, there's something stirring. You feel it, don't you? A tension, a pull, a whisper in your bones that says, this isn't it. There's something more. It's as if we're standing at the edge of a precipice, watching the old structures crumble, political systems that can't keep up, economies that divide more than they uplift, a planet crying out under the weight of its own inhabitants. You don't have to be a prophet to see the fractures. You just have to be awake. And yet, cracks are how the light gets in. What if I told you that the chaos we observe around us is not an end, but a step in the ongoing process of change? In science, we see this all the time. Stars explode in supernovae, but that destruction is essential for the creation of new stars, planets, and life. What appears to be a collapse is often the beginning of something entirely new in the universe. You see, the universe has an intriguing way of working. In fact, destruction and creation go hand in hand. Stars go supernova, shedding their material into space, which eventually leads to the formation of new stars and planets. The elements in your body iron, in your blood, calcium in your bone sear, made from the remnants of these ancient stars. Our very existence is connected to these cosmic cycles. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the oxygen you breathe, they all came from a star that died so you could live. So let's get something straight from the beginning. Collapse is not a curse. It's a cosmic signature, a clue, a preparation. And now, let's bring this back to Earth. This isn't just about distant stars or cosmic events. It's about you. It's about your place in the universe. Maybe you felt like there's more to life than the routines we often find ourselves stuck in. That feeling is not accidental. It's the curiosity of your human nature. The same curiosity that has driven us to explore the stars. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. It's your internal tuning fork resonating with a frequency not yet fully born on this planet. You could think of yourself as part of the early stages of a new phase in human evolution. Just as the first cells on Earth were prototypes for complex life forms, you are part of a prototype for a future, more conscious version of humanity. It's not a distant idea, it's happening right now. And every time you question the systems, every time you refuse to play a game that feels rigged, every time you choose curiosity over cynicism, you're participating in its construction. Now, you may ask, why now? Why am I feeling this? And as always, the answer can be found in the stars literally. Our connection to the cosmos is more than metaphorical. It's grounded in the very fabric of the universe. Let's zoom out, way out. Roughly 13.8 billion years ago, everything you know, every tree, every tear, every triumph, was compressed into a single point, no larger than a grain of sand. Then it expanded violently, rapidly, beautifully. That moment, the Big Bang was not just a beginning, it was a continuation. Because the universe didn't create you, it became you. You are not a passenger in the cosmos. You are a manifestation of it, a local expression of something infinitely vast. And in that expansion, the laws of nature unfolded like a symphony. Gravity, electromagnetism, the weak and strong nuclear forces, these became the scaffolding upon which everything rests. Now, let me ask you something bold. What if consciousness is not merely a byproduct of the brain, but a fundamental part of the universe? Some of the most cutting-edge ideas in science suggests that awareness may not be an accident of biology, but an integral feature of the cosmos itself. What if the universe doesn't just permit awareness, it requires it? That's not just poetic musing. It's a hypothesis gaining traction in the fields of quantum physics, information theory, and cosmology. The idea that the universe might not just be a machine, but a mirror. That what we observe is inseparable from the observer. That our collective awakening, our shift in awareness, is not an isolated human story, but a continuation of cosmic evolution. In this light, the chaos around us takes on a new form. It's not dysfunction. It's transformation. Old systems breaking down because their frequency no longer matches the vibration of where we're headed. It's like trying to play a cassette tape in a world where we now understand quantum computing. The old systems just don't align with the new reality. And just like technology evolves, so must our understanding of the universe. Yes, the world is experiencing turmoil, but in science, we know that chaos often precedes evolution. It's a data point in the system signaling a shift. The real question is, are we prepared for the transformation? Humanity is on the brink of a transition, what we might call a new Earth, or perhaps an evolution of human intelligence. It's not a mystical concept, it's a scientific one. Just as species evolve through natural processes, our collective consciousness is evolving too. This is a real shift, grounded in the laws of nature, not just abstract philosophy, not mystical, not abstract, but rooted in the same logic that governs the movement of planets and the birthing of stars. And those signs you've been seeing, these signs are not just coincidences, they are the result of natural forces. Like the way gravity shapes the orbits of planets, these moments are course corrections. They're the universe's way of nudging us in a new direction, much like how scientific discoveries challenge and refine our understanding of reality. Have you noticed how your tolerance for falsehood has plummeted? How the news feels like theater. How superficial conversations drain you. That's not burnout. That's attunement. Have you found yourself craving silence, nature, depth? That's not escapism. That's resonance. Have you felt inexplicable grief or joy in moments that don't seem to fit? That's not mood disorder. That's calibration. You're not broken. You're evolving. You are a node in a planetary network of awakening, a neural impulse firing not in the brain of a single organism, but in the collective mind of Earth itself. You are part of a larger process, a synchronization, if you will, of human civilization with the fundamental forces of nature. It's not some esoteric idea, it's the application of natural laws that have governed the universe for billions of years. Our role is to recognize and align ourselves with those forces. So what does that mean for you? It means that your doubts are valid, your longings are intelligent, your discomfort with the status quo is not rebellion, it's prophecy. You are feeling the shift because you were built for the shift. And just like a star must collapse to forge heavier elements, you may feel pressure, confusion, loss, the shedding of layers that no longer serve. But remember, no galaxy forms without gravity, and no transformation occurs without tension. The question isn't, will we make it? The question is, will we participate in it consciously? You see, the human experience has always oscillated between light and shadow, between moments of divine clarity and stretches of self-inflicted chaos. But there are junctures in Timarari, pivotal thresholds, where the entire trajectory of our species reaches a point of inflection, a cosmic crossroad. And whether we recognize it or not, we are now living in one. We are not just adapting to a rapidly changing world, we are being summoned into a higher expression of ourselves. But this transformation doesn't arrive as a ceremonial trumpet blast. It arrives in subtler ways. It arrives when old systems start to feel hollow, when careers that once excited us suddenly feel like costumes, when conversations no longer stimulate the soul. It arrives when we look around at the world, the violence, the division, the greed, feel not just sorrow, but an inner imperative to rise above it. And perhaps most importantly, it arrives when we begin to see the madness, not just in others, but in ourselves, in our automatic reactions, in our conditioned beliefs, in the machinery of thought that never pauses long enough to question its own code. These moments of disruption are not breakdowns. They are breakthroughs. They are the signs. And if you're seeing them, It means you're being prepared, not punished, for something greater. Let's be clear. This is not about escaping the world or floating off into some idealized, distant place. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's about engaging with the world in a more profound, intelligent way. It's not about running away from reality. It's about understanding it more deeply. It's about engaging the world more fully than ever, but from a higher frequency of awareness. It's about being in the chaos without becoming it, standing in the fire without turning to ash, participating in systems not to perpetuate them, but to transform them from the inside out. That's what it means to cross into the new earth. Not to fly away, but to walk through this one with new eyes. And here's the elegant twist of cosmic humor. The signs you're looking for out there on the news, in politics, in the trembling tectonics of global events, those aren't the real signs. The real signs are in you. They're in your sudden intolerance for superficiality, your unexplained desire to simplify, to declutter, to turn down the volume and turn up the presence. They're in your spontaneous generosity, your inexplicable compassion for strangers, your tearful response to beauty. These are not quirks of personality. They're indicators of resonance, markers of inner alignment, signs that your inner compass has begun pointing toward the coordinates of the new earth. Now, let's borrow a metaphor from physics, because sometimes the language of the cosmos helps us understand ourselves. When a system reaches a point of instability, it doesn't revert to its previous state. It evolves into a higher order. This is known as a phase transition. Water doesn't become less chaotic by calming itself into a puddle. It evolves into vapor and ascends. Our civilization is undergoing just such a phase shift. And like molecules in a boiling pot, some particles will rise while others remain. This is not judgment. This is physics. And in this context, your transformation is not just spiritual, it's thermodynamic. Your consciousness is heating up, becoming less dense, more agile. You are rising, and yes, it may feel disorienting. Because the environments that used to sustain you, the friendships, the habits, the routines may no longer match your state. That's okay. Evolution is never symmetrical. Growth is rarely graceful, but it is necessary. Dolores Cannon, a woman whose work bridged science and spirituality, spoke about this very transition. She didn't ask us to believe blindly. She asked us to observe, to look within, to trust our own instruments of perception. She described Earth as a sentient being, not metaphorically, but literally, a planetary consciousness undergoing its own evolution. And like any organism, it cannot carry parasitic energies into its next state. It must cleanse, it must shed, it must purify, not as punishment, but as preparation. In her words, the Earth is ascending. It is transitioning to a new vibrational frequency, a new state of being. And those who wish to accompany her must do the same. This doesn't mean perfection. It doesn't mean sainthood. It means resonance, a willingness to evolve, a willingness to release the anchors of fear, hatred, resentment, and illusion that keep us stuck in lower realities. And perhaps that's the most challenging part, because the heaviest weights are not on our backs. They're in our minds. They are the stories we cling to, the identities we defend, the grudges we refuse to forgive. But here's the truth. The frequency of the new Earth cannot support the density of unresolved trauma. It's not personnel, it's vibrational, which means if you want to rise, you must release. Release the need to be right, release the need to be understood, release the comfort of victimhood, not because those things didn't happen, but because holding on to them keeps you tethered to a timeline that no longer exists. Forgiveness, then, is not a moral act. It is a gravitational decision. It is choosing to leave behind what cannot cross with you. And what awaits on the other side? Not a utopia, not an escape, but a clearer, cleaner version of this very world. A reality where systems serve instead of suppress. Where intelligence is measured by wisdom, not accumulation. Where relationships are rooted in authenticity, not performance. This world isn't out there. It is forming right now in the invisible architecture of consciousness. And each time you choose love over fear, truth over conformity, Presence over distraction, you contribute to its structure. You help crystallize the lattice of a new planetary field. Now, I know some will hear all of this and scoff. They'll ask, where's the proof? The data? The peer-reviewed articles? And to them I say, look again. Not with your eyes, but with your life. Examine the patterns, the synchronicities, the implausible timing, the way you've been protected, redirected, refined, the way certain relationships dissolved precisely when they needed to, the way certain doors opened only after you let go of what was weighing you down. This isn't fantasy. It's pattern recognition. It's a meta-analysis of the soul. Because maybe, just maybe, you've already been walking the path. You've already been shedding the old skin. You've already been aligning with a version of Earth that is lighter, brighter, freer. And maybe, just maybe, this message isn't news to you. It's confirmation. A cosmic echo of what your soul has been whispering all along. The truth is, most revolutions are not televised. They are internal. They happen in the silent corridors of the heart, where no camera can reach, no headline can name. And yet, they shape the external world more powerfully than any policy or protest ever could. That's what's happening now, not just to the planet, but within you. You are not just a bystander to this shift, you are part of it. Just like the Earth's atmosphere is a product of billions of years of physical processes, the changes we're experiencing now are a result of our collective actions. You're an active participant in the evolution of consciousness. And the moment you realize that, you stop waiting for the world to change. You begin to live as if the new Earth already exists, because in many ways it does. It's not a location. It's not a secret island or a hidden utopia. It's a frequency, a bandwidth of reality, accessible only through inner alignment. And once you begin to vibrate at that frequency, you begin to see it everywhere. You begin to meet others who reflect it. You begin to attract experiences that reinforce it. You begin to live in a parallel Earth that shares the same geography, but not the same destiny. This isn't metaphorical. It's a shift in energy. And as any scientist will tell you, energy is real. It's measurable, observable, and testable. The patterns we're seeing in human behavior and consciousness are not abstract concepts. They're part of the ongoing physical processes of the universe. Just as we can track the movement of galaxies through redshifts or detect black holes through gravitational waves, we can detect human awakening through subtle but undeniable patterns. The sudden emergence of compassion in systems once ruled by profit. The collective push towards sustainability in industries built on extraction. The quiet rise of mindfulness in a culture once obsessed with speed. These are not random, they are markers, signposts, evidence that a new planetary operating system is coming online. And like all systems, it requires participants, not just spectators. That's why you're feeling what you're feeling. That's why your old life no longer fits. That's why the things that once gave you satisfaction now feel strangely hollow, because your consciousness has updated and the world you were living in is running on outdated software. So what do? Do we judge the world for lagging behind? No. We meet it with compassion. Because just like you, the world is learning how to let go of its fear, its defenses, its illusions of separation. That's the great paradox of evolution. It requires both surrender and strength, surrender to the truth that we cannot carry everything forward, and strength to release it with love, not bitterness. And that includes how we view others. Not everyone will walk through the same doorway at the same time. Some are still learning through resistance. Some are still mastering the lower frequencies before they rise. And that is not failure. That is divine sequencing. The New Earth is not an exclusive club. It is a resonance, a choice, a path of alignment that is open to all, but chosen by few. And let us be honest, it's not always easy to choose. The old world is persistent. Its habits are entrenched. Its incentives are seductive. It promises comfort in exchange for conformity, but comfort is not the same as peace. One is temporary, the other is eternal. And the path to peace requires a deeper courage, not the courage to fight, but the courage to see clearly, to see through the illusion of control, to see beyond the veil of division, to see that the only enemy is unconsciousness itself in us and in others. And when we do that, we stop fighting the dark. We start lighting candles. We become torchbearers for a civilization reborn in awareness. Dolores Cannon often said, "The earth is shifting with or without us. It does not wait. It does not ask. It ascends because that is its evolutionary imperative." And just as a river does not stop for the stone, the earth will not pause for those who resist, but it will welcome all who flow. And if you've been called to this message, it means you've already started flowing. You've already felt the tug. You've already sensed the current of something greater, something higher, something real. So don't doubt it. Don't second guess the call. Trust that your soul is not naive. It chose this lifetime with precision. It knew the stakes. It knew the timeline. And it volunteered not to survive this transition, but to help shepherd it. You are not just waking up for yourself. You are waking up for your bloodline, for your community, for generations that will inherit what you now choose to create. And yes, you will face resistance, but resistance is proof of movement. It's what you feel when you begin to rise out of gravity's grip. And the gravity of the old Earth is strong, not because it is powerful, but because it is familiar. But familiarity is not destiny. The fact that something has lasted does not mean it is meant to remain. We must evolve, because the cost of stagnation is extinction, and we are not here to vanish. We are here to transcend. So if you felt the pull to simplify, do it. If you felt the urge to forgive, do it. If you felt the need to disconnect from the noise and reconnect to your soul, do it. These are not whims. These are coordinates. They are your soul's way of realigning your compass to match the vibration of the new earth. And the more you follow them, the more you notice the veil thinning. You begin to hear the quiet intelligence in the rustling of trees. You feel the memory of ancient wisdom in the starlight. You sense the presence of something vast and benevolent guiding you gently, invisibly, like gravity guiding galaxies. The new earth isn't some distant promise. It's a process already unfolding. And you're not merely waiting for it, you're actively participating in it, whether you realize it or not. Just as stars form and evolve, so too are we. This transformation is grounded in real, observable changes in how we understand ourselves and our universe. The new earth isn't some distant promise. It's a process already unfolding. And you're not merely waiting for it, you're actively participating in it, whether you realize it or not. Just as stars form and evolve, so too are we. This transformation is grounded in real, observable changes in how we understand ourselves and our universe. There are moments in life that feel strangely out of sync with the world around you. Moments where time seems to slow down, not because the clock is broken, but because your perception has sharpened. You begin to notice things you previously ignored. The quiet dissonance in a room full of noise, the emotional weight behind someone's smile, the flickering emptiness beneath societal rituals we've accepted as normal. These are not random quirks. They are thresholds, signs, indicators that your nervous system is recalibrating to a different signal, one not broadcasted through television networks or algorithmic feeds, but through something much older and far more reliable, the language of resonance. You feel drawn to truth like never before. Not the truth filtered through politics or ideology, but the raw, unembellished truth that often arrives quietly, like light through a crack. You begin to see through performance. You recognize when people are speaking from fear rather than wisdom. You sense manipulation in places where you once only saw tradition. This sensitivity isn't weakness, it's evolution. You're being equipped with a new kind of perception, not just to protect yourself, but to participate more intelligently in the shaping of reality. One of the most telling signs that you're being prepared for the new earth is your intolerance for anything that feels inauthentic. It shows up suddenly. You find yourself unable to fake interest in conversations that once entertained you. You struggle to participate in cycles of complaint, gossip, or distraction. You begin to feel that silence is not empty, but full of clarity, full of signal, full of potential. This isn't social withdrawal. This is vibrational discernment. You're beginning to separate the signal from the noise. You no longer chase stimulation for its own sake. You chase meaning. And that shift from consumption to contemplation is one of the most important evolutionary leaps a human can make. You may also notice an unshakable desire to simplify, not just your closet or your calendar, but your entire relationship with the material world. You start letting go of things, not because they're bad, but because they feel heavy. Objects, obligations, even identities. You're no longer seduced by accumulation. You're beginning to sense that every possession is not just something you own, it's something that owns a part of you. And so you begin the beautiful, often painful process of lightening the load. This is not minimalism as aesthetic, this is minimalism as metaphysics. Because in the new earth, the lightest beings rise the fastest. Not in status, in spirit. Another unmistakable sign is your relationship with time. It begins to shift. You stop measuring life by how much you produce and start measuring it by how deeply you experience. You find yourself moving away from multitasking and toward monopresence, doing one thing at a time, but doing it with your whole being. Washing a dish becomes meditation. Walking becomes ceremony. Conversations become portals. This is the emergence of sacred time, a return to the understanding that the eternal is not found in the future, but folded within each passing moment. And then there's your emotional landscape. You may begin to feel waves of emotion rise unexpectedly. You cry more often, not just from sadness, but from beauty, from connection, from a sudden sense of awe at the ordinary. This emotional fluidity is not instability. It is a system update. It means your heart is thawing. You're learning to feel in higher resolution. You are no longer buffered by numbness or dulled by distraction. You're alive, raw, open. And in that openness, you rediscover something ancient: empathy, not just as a social virtue, but as a navigational tool. You begin to sense that the pain of others is not separate from your own, that suffering anywhere diminishes joy everywhere. And so you become more careful with your words, more generous with your assumptions, more attuned to the quiet needs of those around you. This is not moralism. This is quantum entanglement in emotional form. You're feeling your way into unity. And perhaps the most revolutionary sign of all, you begin to see yourself not as a consumer of earth, but as a caretaker. You no longer view nature as scenery or resource. You begin to understand it as kin. The tree outside your window is no longer background. It is a presence, an elder, a silent teacher who has witnessed more than any human alive. The river is not just water. It is memory in motion. The soil beneath your feet is not dead matter. It is the skin of a living being. When this realization takes root, everything changes. You stop taking, you start listening. And in that listening, you remember your original role not as master of nature, but as participant in its brilliance. This shift in relationship from dominion to dialogue is foundational to the new earth, because the new world is not built on dominance. It is built on symbiosis, on respect, on reverence. Now, let's pause here, because I know some of this may feel unfamiliar, maybe even uncomfortable. That's okay. Transformation is never tidy. Growth is not linear. You may be feeling tired, disoriented, uncertain, not because you're broken, but because you're rebooting. The very operating system of your consciousness is being rewritten. The hardware is still human, but the software is becoming universal. And this takes time. Grace, patience. You're not late. You're not off track. You're arriving precisely on time for the version of Earth you were born to help co-create. So the question is no longer, is this real? The question is, am I listening? Because if you're reading these signs, not just with your mind, but with your entire being, then you already know the answer. You are not waiting for permission. You are responding to purpose. You are not watching the new earth from afar. You are helping to build it one thought, one choice, one vibration at a time. So now we stand at the edge of something vast, not in space, not in time, but in consciousness. This is not the edge of a cliff. It is the threshold of a new atmosphere, a breathable future, a future that cannot be delivered by institutions or dictated by tradition. It must be cultivated in the invisible space between each human heart and the next. That's the new frontier, not Mars, not the metaverse, but the reclamation of inner space, the vast, unexplored continent of the human spirit. now finally waking up to its role in the cosmic equation. And the truth is, not everyone will walk through this door. Not because they are incapable, but because they are not yet ready. Readiness isn't measured by belief. It's measured by vibration, by willingness. Some will cling to the old earth because it feels safe, because it is familiar, because they believe control is more comforting than freedom. And that's okay. We must let them be. We must meet them with compassion, not condemnation, because we too were once asleep. We too once mistook habit for truth, fear for instinct, survival for living. But for those who feel it, truly feel it, the time is now. No more stalling, no more studying the map from afar, no more seeking signs when the signs have already been inscribed into the marrow of your being. The New Earth is not an escape from reality. It is the deepest embodiment of it. It is what happens when your values become your actions, when your presence becomes your protest, when your daily choices echo across time as beacons for generations unborn. So let this be your invitation. Not to be perfect, but to be present. To carry the new world in your tone, your eyes, your silence, your decisions. Let your peace be your rebellion. Let your joy be your resistance. Let your stillness destabilize the systems built on urgency. Because you don't change the world by fighting the old. You change it by embodying the new. So clearly that others cannot help but question their own reflection. And if at times it feels lonely, remember this. The pioneers always walk ahead of the crowd. That is the burden of vision. That is the blessing of foresight. You are not lost. You are just early. You are not separate. You are simply tuned to a frequency, still faint in the collective, but growing stronger by the day. You are a prism through which the light of tomorrow bends into color. And when enough of us remember who we are, not citizens of nations, but caretakers of a living earth, the planet will not need to be saved. It will have already been reborn. This is the real revolution. Quiet, gentle, inevitable. And if you're here, if you've stayed, if something in your soul is humming with the rhythm of these words, then you are already part of it. You don't need to push, you don't need to prove, you just need to continue. Continue shedding what no longer belongs. Continue listening to the wisdom that doesn't come from noise, but from stillness. Continue choosing alignment over approval, integrity over acceptance, soul over structure. Because in the grand orchestration of the universe, your role is not random. Your voice is not noise. Your life, when lived fully, openly, courageously, is a frequency. And when that frequency is clear, when it rings true, it becomes a note in the larger song of the cosmos, a song that says, we are awakening, we are evolving, we are crossing, and we are not looking back. Thank you for listening. Thank you for remembering. Thank you for becoming. The new earth is not something far in the future. It's already in motion. It's happening now. And you are part of that change. Just as the universe has always been in a state of flux, so too are we. And you, by simply existing and engaging with this world, are already contributing to its evolution.